For professors who teach University 101, there are two separate, yet equally important tasks: selecting the topics to cover and deciding when to cover them. These are their stories.
Hi, I'm Sam Lappin, and I've had the privilege of teaching University 101 at NKU for several years. Anyone who teaches this class can tell you one of the biggest challenges is selecting all the topics you want to cover and then scheduling them into the semester. What I'm going to do over the next few minutes is show you how I go about doing that. I think ultimately you have to find a method that works best for you, but hopefully by showing you how I do it, you'll get some ideas that you'll find useful. What I'd like to do is start with a list of all the dates that the class is going to meet through the semester, and then on this side I have a list of the topics and activities that I want to be sure to include, or at least try to include, during the semester, and then spaces where I can go and fill them in. Now, I do not give this calendar to my students because I know that things are going to change. I do, however, put on the syllabus some key dates that I want them to know about, like the book connection presentation, because that's a fixed date and also something where we're going to be meeting at a different location. So I encourage them to put that on their calendar right away. Now, also, I don't have on this the different assignments and the things that I want them to write, the reflections, faculty interview, campus events, and I do encourage you to do that. Just to make this presentation more brief, I'm going to not include that. Now, I try to identify the fixed dates, and that's the items here that are in bold, and I try to keep my schedule running, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks in advance, so I know what's coming up, but again, try to be as flexible as I can because I know these changes are going to come. So for this particular semester, I know obviously that I want to do the intros and syllabus and icebreaker here on the first date. And then some other things that I know about. I know that my library day is going to be on September the 28th, so I'll go ahead and fill that in. I also know that the book connection for this semester was scheduled on October the 12th, so I'll put that in. Fall break is going to be on October the 19th. And then lastly, I know that we're not going to have class on November the 25th because that's Thanksgiving. Alright, and then as the semester is about to begin, I start filling things in. I have a brown bag presentation, which is just where students bring in a bag with a few items that say something about them, their culture, their major, their hobbies, things like that, and then they show them to the class and tell them about it. So I have that on the second day. I like to do computer day very early, so I'm going to put that on the second day, and if I'm going to have to meet at a different location, like a computer lab, I'll start telling the students about that on the 24th and the 26th to let them know that they're going to have to meet there. Then I like to also very early in the semester get into the idea of the transition from college to high school. I use a film called Mean Girls. So I'm going to start out on September the 2nd with the part 1 of that film, and then on September the 7th I'm going to do part 2 of the film as well as the discussion questions that we use to go with that. Also, since I probably have a little additional time on that day, I'm going to do something called Finish the Sentence activity, which is kind of a brainstorming activity where students finish each other's sentences to give ideas about what high school is like and what they anticipate college is going to be like. Then from there, I'll continue to fill things in. On the 9th, I'm going to do high school headlines and decode your syllabus, which is a good way to look at college and some of the differences that they're going to experience there. Next, campus treasure hunt, an activity where they find their way to different key places on campus. Time management, which is such a critical thing. I like to work that in very early because it's something the students really need. And then to go along with time management, something that I think really is a big part of that is sleep. And I have a class that I'm going to do on sleep. And then let's go ahead and put culture and stereotypes in on September the 23rd. And so what I've got here is a plan for a few weeks in advance, and that's very nice, but as I said, changes are going to happen. So in this particular semester that I'm using as an example, one of the things that happened is I found out about something called the Fatal Experience Driving Simulator. This is an activity where a guy comes in and he sets up a course with cones, and then the students drive a golf cart, and they wear these goggles which simulate the perception that someone has after they've been drinking alcohol. And it's just a great hands-on experience for them to see the dangers of driving and drinking and just how drinking impairs people's judgment in general. And so I found out about this, and the only date that he could do it was September the 21st. So I'm going to have to undo some of the things that I have done to make room for this. So I'm going to take out sleep and time management, stereotypes and culture, and try to reschedule those at a different date. And so I'm going to have that, as I said, on the 21st, I'm going to have the fatal driving experience. So I'll go ahead and put that in. And I've also decided that if I'm going to have the fatal driving experience simulator on the 21st, I should probably cover alcohol before that. And so I use a video from a program called 30 Days, and I'm going to put that and the questions that go with it on the 16th. Then again, the fatal driving experience on the 21st. But then also something else that came up this semester is that while we were doing the brown bag presentations back on the 26th, one of my students shared with the class that she has struggled with an addiction to drugs. And after class, I asked her if that was something she would like to share more with the class, and so she agreed, and I'm going to put that in on September the 23rd. I'll just put student present on drugs. I've actually had that happen a couple of times when I've taught this class. And those presentations from the students who've had this kind of experience have been some of the most powerful classes that I've ever taught. I'm also going to try on that day to go ahead and put in smoking and gambling, a couple other addiction issues that certainly affect a lot of our students. Now, Library Day is a fixed day, and I'm going to go ahead and put study skills and test taking after Library Day on September the 23rd. That just kind of seems like a logical thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and go with working with faculty, and I'm also going to begin talking about time management that day, because as I said earlier, I just think that that's such a critical topic. So we'll begin that on October the 5th and then continue it on October the 7th. Alright, then they attend the book connection on the 12th, and then we move on to sleep as a continuing part of our look at time management. That's going to be on October the 14th. And from there, just planning out a few weeks ahead. You know, let's say right now I'm getting to the end of September, beginning of October. I want to get an idea of where I'm going to be going, so I'm going to go ahead and put money management, another important issue, on the 21st. I'm going to do depression and suicide prevention, a really important topic, on October the 26th. Then I'm going to go ahead and come in with sexual health. I start off with a video called Miracle of Life, and then we continue on with other discussions and activities regarding sexual health, and I'm going to put that on November the 2nd. Okay, so now I'm moving through the middle of the semester here in October towards fall break, and I've got a plan fairly far in advance, but again, changes come up, and so was the case in this semester. One of the things that happened is this happened to be an election year. And I made some contact with the local candidates who were running for state representative for Northern Kentucky, and they agreed to come and speak to my students. And what I was able to do was schedule one candidate for October the 21st and the other candidate for the 26th. So again, I've got to move these items out. And so I'm going to go ahead and put candidate 1 on the 21st. And I'm going to put candidate 2 said that she could come on the 26th, so I'll put that there. And then also, I want the students to write some questions for the candidates ahead of time, so I know that they're writing questions that make sense, that are issues on a state level and so forth. So I'm going to work that in until the 24th, that we write questions for the candidates. All right. Following up with that, I want to, on the 28th, do a little discussion where the students can share what they thought of what the candidates said. And also, the students have been asking me if we can have a Halloween party. And I know that the students getting to know each other and build those bonds is important, so I'm going to set aside a little bit of time on the 28th here for a Halloween party. So as I get towards the end of October, I want to continue to fill things in, so I'm going to go ahead and put money management on November the 2nd, depression and suicide prevention on November the 4th. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 parts of sexual health on the 9th and the 11th. So as I move into the beginning of November, I've got a plan. I know what I've got scheduled, but again, sometimes things change. And what happened this particular semester is I found out about an opportunity to have a panel of speakers to come from Common Ground to talk about sexual orientation, and I was able to schedule them on November the 4th. So again, I'm going to take some of these things back out. Now, on November the 4th, I'm going to have Common Ground come to my class, but I've also decided that I would like to do the topic of stereotypes and culture, the class before they come, so I'm going to move that into November the 2nd. And then I also realized that I had forgotten to schedule a speaker from the Academic Resource Center to come and talk about general studies, and here in early November we're getting close to the time where the students are going to be registering for classes. Now, having my panel from Common Ground on the 4th and my speaker from ARC on the 9th means I have guest speakers on back-to-back days. That's not an ideal thing, but sometimes those situations happen, and that's just a compromise that I'm going to have to make this particular semester. Alright, now moving on, I've decided now that I've gotten this far in the semester that it would make more sense for me to do healthy relationships, excuse me, to do healthy relationships before I get into the unit on sexual health. And when I cover healthy relationships, I use an amazing film called Garden State and then some discussion questions that I put together to go with that. So I'm going to schedule part 1 and 2 of Garden State on the 11th and the 16th, and then do some additional activities and such regarding healthy relationships on November the 18th. Then after that I'm going to go ahead and fill in sexual health, so the video that I mentioned earlier, Miracle of Life. And again, splitting that up over the Thanksgiving holiday may not be the ideal thing, but that's a compromise that I'm going to have to make to get in all the topics that I want to get in this semester. Alright, so I'm getting near the end of the semester here. I want to be sure I get in some of the other things that I want to include. So I'm going to put money management on December the 2nd. I've scheduled a speaker from the Career Development Center on November the 7th. On the 9th, I'm going to do depression and suicide prevention. Not the ideal thing to do that late in the semester, though there may be some logic to it in that that's an issue that certainly a lot of people experience during the holidays. I've already covered political involvement with my candidates coming. And then on the last day, I do something called Healthy Habits Day. And then also, I like to have some feedback and reflection for that last day. And as you can see, I didn't even get to the activities I wanted to do on values, although certainly a lot of the other things that I cover in class have to do with values, but that's the kind of thing that oftentimes will happen. That example actually went smoother than a lot of semesters do. You've got a schedule ahead, but you also have to be prepared to adapt. I also want to remind you that it's a good idea to include in your schedule assignments, including the dates that you're going to assign those assignments, as well as the dates that those assignments are due. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to hear from you. My name again is Sam Lappin. My email address is lappin@nku.edu. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy teaching University 101 as much as I do.